tell stories in here that we get a request. Somebody comes in and says, "Oh, I remember a story that you told 4 or 5 years ago. I want to hear that again." Oh, you trust my memory, huh? Blame these guys if I mess up. Okay. Come right on into this boogie barn. We're going to tell a story we haven't told for quite a while. All right.
There's 2 over here.
Welcome to the Spooky Barn. Well, as I just mentioned, I was requested to tell a story I haven't told for probably 4 years now. And so if I mess up on it, blame these 2 guys here in the front row and get him out there, kick him off the ride or whatever. All right. A few years ago, my wife, sitting over here, Jonathan, and I took a trip to the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. We were way up there across the bridge, and we were going up there, and it got us right up there to the shores of Lake Superior. And it was really, I hadn't been up there before and was walking along there. It was really interesting because the lake's really big, like ocean. And there's stories about ghost ships up there, about ships that sail old, like big old pirate ships. And they would go along there like big old pirate ships of those big sails, 4 masters, things like that. And sometimes they would come ashore and there would be nobody on them at all, nothing but ghosts. So, there's a lot of stories up there, and shipwrecks, and people digging for gold and things like that. There's a lot of stories up there. Well, it was nice. Lighthouses, haunted lighthouses. And sometimes you'd walk past these lighthouses and you could hear like ghosts cackling. Well, one night my wife and I decided to take a walk along the shore there. And we were walking along the shore there. And it was a moonlight night. It was nice. We were holding hands. And it was really nice. And we said, an old man came up and he said, "You're not going to walk along the shore tonight, are you?" And I said, "Well, I thought so. It's a nice night. We were going to walk along there." And he said, "I wouldn't do that if I were you." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Maybe you haven't heard of Three-Fingered Riley." Three-Fingered Riley? No, I haven't heard from Three-Fingered Riley. What's that? He said, "I'll tell you the story." And so he told us the story about Three-Fingered Riley. And I'm going to tell you the story of Three-Fingered Riley. Long, long ago, up in the Great Lakes, long before they had the Coast Guard, long before the Coast Guard would go out and save people if there's a shipwreck or anything like that, there was they called them the Salvation Crew or something like that, a life-saving crew. They had these little about 10 miles apart. There were little stations there, and they had boats there, and people would go out, and if they saw flares coming off a ship or something like that, they would row out to save people if there's a shipwreck out there or something like that. And also, the people's job on these life-saving crews was to explore the shores at night to see if there's any wreckage coming in, or if there was a shipwreck, maybe if there's any bodies that had washed ashore from Canada or someplace far away. Well, one night, it was the first time this young man, he was only like 17 years old, it was the first time that he had ever worked for this. It was his first job. It was his first job. And it was a cold, cold night. The wind was blowing in and the waves were coming in and it was freezing all over. All over. The ice was coming in and the waves would come in and go catchy, 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 catchy. The ice would clatter on the shore there. And they gave him a lantern. And they said, go out and explore the shore. Well, it was 10 miles. He had to walk to the next life-saving station and look along to see if there's any wreckage of ships or any bodies or anything like that came in. So he was walking along there. And the waves were coming in, and it was really cold. And he was looking, and sometimes he would see a log or something, and he'd go, oh, what's that? Or he'd see a big dead fish, and said, oh, what's that? And he was coming along there, and all of a sudden, there, under the ice, he saw eyes looking at him. They were like human eyes. What on earth is that? And he went closer, and it was a human body. It was actually a dead body that's maybe from a shipwreck. It had washed in, so forth. And so he ran back to the life thing. He said, I found a body. And he said, well, you know what you have to do if you find a body? What's that? What do I have to do? He said, you have to bring it in. But it's under the ice. There's an axe. Go get it. So he gave him this big axe, and he went over there, and he got some other guys to help him pull it because they needed a sled and things like that. But he says, it's your job to chop it out. So he went up to the ice, and he looked down there, and there was a body, and this dead man was looking at him, and he took his axe, he went, chop, chop, chop. It was really scary. He didn't like chopping at all. But in his nervousness, he got too close to one of the hands and chopped. He chopped off some of the fingers, leaving the thumb and the first finger, leaving only 3 fingers. Oh, I chopped the man's hand all this time. Keep chopping, they told him. It's your job. So after a while, they chopped out the body, put it on the sled, and took it back to the life-saving station there. And it was too cold to give him a body. They went through his clothes after he thawed out a little bit, and they found his name was Riley. And but that's all they knew about him. They didn't know anything about his family or anything. And they said, well, we can't bury him till spring. It's too cold. So they put him in a little warehouse here, a little shed, very much like the little barn here. They put him in there until the ground thawed in the springtime. Well, in the meantime, the men would go in and look at him once in a while. They made jokes about him, and they called him Three Fingers Riley because he only has 3 fingers. I wonder if old Three Fingers Riley's thawed out yet. And the young man was always embarrassed. He didn't like to hear that. But anyway, when spring came, and the ground was soft enough to dig a grave, they actually dug the grave. And they actually gave him a decent burial. Okay. And so his soul was able to rest in peace. At least his body was able to rest in peace. But they say that his soul still wanders ashore of Lake Erie. And so the old man was telling us, now if you walk around there at night, you may be just walking along the shore there, and you might hear some soft footsteps behind you. And if you turn to look to see what it was, you'll see a man dressed in old seaman clothes of maybe 100 years ago. And then he will extend his hand out and says, do you have my fingers? 3 Fingers Riley.